If the person you loved walked away because she no longer believed in the future you were building, you would learn that heartbreak and humiliation can arrive together, wearing the same face. It is one thing to lose someone. It is another to lose them while still owing rent, still driving a car with a check engine light that never turns off, still explaining to your own reflection why nothing seems to be working. But sometimes losing everything at once is exactly what forces a person to finally become who they were supposed to be. Our hero, Jake, was 28 years old, working an entry-level sales job at a mid-sized insurance company in Denver, Colorado, when his girlfriend of 4 years, Emily, sat him down on a quiet Sunday evening. "Jake, I need to be honest with you. I don't see us going anywhere. You keep talking about starting something of your own, but it's been years of talk and no action," Emily said, her voice gentle but firm. I'm working on it." "These things take time," Jake said, setting down his coffee mug. "I've heard that for 3 years now." "I'm 27, Jake. I want a life, a future, not just promises," Emily said, tears welling in her eyes despite her calm tone. "So that's it? You're just leaving?" Jake asked, his chest tightening. "I love you. I just can't keep waiting for a version of you that only exists in conversations," Emily said quietly. Picking up her jacket, Jake sat alone in his apartment that night, staring at the door long after it had closed behind her. For the first week, he barely left his couch, replaying every conversation, wondering exactly when things had gone wrong. His roommate, Marcus, found him one evening surrounded by delivery boxes and unopened mail. "Man, you can't keep living like this," Marcus said, nudging a pizza box aside to sit down. "She said I talk too much and do too little," Jake muttered, staring at the ceiling. "Is she wrong?" Marcus asked bluntly. Jake didn't answer right away. "No," he finally admitted. "She's not wrong." That admission became the turning point. Jake had spent 2 years half-heartedly researching a business idea, a mobile car detailing service that came directly to customers' homes and offices, something Denver's crowded car wash industry hadn't fully embraced yet. He had the idea. He had never taken a single real step toward it. The following Monday, Jake used his lunch break to research licensing requirements instead of scrolling through his phone. That weekend, instead of moping at home, he spent his entire Saturday washing and detailing his own car meticulously, filming the process on his phone to test whether he could even explain what made a proper detail different from a quick rinse. "You're seriously doing this now? After everything?" Marcus asked, watching Jake edit a rough video on his laptop. "Especially after everything," Jake said. "I've got nothing left to lose pretending I'm not trying." Jake bought basic detailing equipment using money he had originally saved for a vacation he and Emily never took. He posted his first video online, offering mobile detailing services to anyone within 15 miles of downtown Denver. His first customer was an older man named Robert, a small business owner who booked out of curiosity more than expectation. "You're one guy with a trunk full of supplies. How is this different from a car wash?" Robert asked skeptically, watching Jake unload equipment in his driveway. "Because I come to you, and I actually care whether it looks perfect when I leave, not just clean enough," Jake said, already pulling out a microfiber cloth. 2 hours later, Robert walked around his freshly detailed car twice, running his hand along the hood in disbelief. "All right, you've got yourself a regular customer, and I'm telling my golf buddies about you." Word spread slowly at first, then steadily, as Jake posted before and after videos, worked long hours after his regular sales job, and eventually saved enough to quit entirely and commit to the detailing business full-time. He hired his first part-time helper within 8 months, a college student named Diego, and expanded into a small rented garage space instead of operating entirely out of his trunk. "Jake, we've got 11 bookings this week alone," Diego said one afternoon, checking the scheduling app Jake had built after teaching himself basic coding through free online tutorials. 11 felt impossible 6 months ago, Jake said, allowing himself a small, tired smile. A year and a half after Emily walked out, Jake's mobile detailing business had grown into a small but genuinely profitable company, employing 4 part-time detailers, servicing over 200 regular clients, and expanding into a second rented location on the other side of the city. Jake finally moved out of the apartment he had shared with Marcus, into a modest but entirely self-funded house of his own. He hadn't spoken to Emily in over a year, though he thought of her more often than he admitted to anyone, including himself. One afternoon, while dropping off equipment near downtown, Jake ran into Emily unexpectedly outside a coffee shop. both of them stopping mid-stride, visibly caught off guard. "Jake? I almost didn't recognize you," Emily said, glancing at the branded work van parked nearby. "Yeah, it's, been a while," Jake said, suddenly aware of how much had changed since she'd last seen him. "Is that your van? Your business?" Emily asked, gesturing toward the vehicle with genuine surprise. "Guilty. Mobile detailing. Finally stopped talking about it and just did it," Jake said, a hint of quiet pride in his voice. "That's the last thing I said to you, isn't it?" "Talk and no action," Emily said softly, immediately looking regretful for bringing it up. "You weren't wrong, Em. I needed to hear it, even if it hurt like hell at the time," Jake admitted. They ended up sitting together at the coffee shop for nearly 2 hours, catching up on everything that had happened since she left, careful at first, then slowly more honest. "The way only two people with real shared history could be. I always felt guilty, you know, leaving right when things were already hard for you," Emily admitted, wrapping her hands around her cup. "Don't. If you hadn't left, I probably would have kept coasting for another 5 years," Jake said honestly. "So my leaving basically built your business," Emily said, laughing despite herself. "Basically," Jake said, smiling. "Guess I owe you a commission." They began seeing each other occasionally after that first coffee, cautious at first, both aware of how easily old patterns could resurface. But Jake was different now, not just financially, but in the steady, quiet confidence of someone who had actually built something instead of only talking about it. "I need you to know I'm not the same guy who used to just talk about ideas at 2 a.m. and never follow through," Jake told her one evening, months into reconnecting. "I can see that, Jake. I'm not looking for the guy I left. I'm curious about the guy standing in front of me now," Emily said, a year after the chance meeting outside the coffee shop. Jake proposed to Emily in the same driveway where he had detailed his very first customer's car, Robert standing nearby, grinning from having been let in on the surprise weeks earlier. "You do realize you're proposing in a driveway that smells like tire shine," Emily said, laughing through happy tears. "Some of the most important moments of my life happened in driveways lately." "Seemed fitting," Jake said, kneeling down. "Losing someone you love because you failed to become who you needed to be does not have to be the end of the story. Sometimes it is the exact wake-up call required to finally close the gap between who you are and who you keep promising to become." Jake never got rich chasing revenge or trying to prove Emily wrong. He simply stopped talking and started building, one detailed car at a time, until the life he had once only described in conversations became the life he was actually living. And when Emily walked back into it, she wasn't returning to the man who had let her down. She was meeting, for the first time, the man he had always been capable of becoming.